Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to Intavor Institute's webinar, Moving from Project to Project Portfolio Risk Analysis. I'd like to welcome all of our new and existing participants. We do have a lot of return people. If you're new to our webinar series, we have these about 5 to 6 times a year. They are generally an informal webinar based on questions that we get back from customers or users in regards to specific functionality of our software or other questions regarding project risk analysis in general on the theoretical side. My name is Michael Trumper, as an introduction. I'm one of the principals here at Intavor Institute. I've been working here since 2004. I've been working in the sort of risk management, risk analysis business now for around 20 years. And I am the regular presenter of these webinars. Before we start, I just want to go in and take a quick overview of how you can participate if you're haven't used GoToWebinar before, how to participate and where your controls are. So once you've opened up, you should see a panel up on the right-hand side. That's typically where it will open up. You can choose your audio. With that, I always recommend using the mic and speakers. If you have computer, uses that VoIP, and it tends to be much higher quality. There is a question panel, and if you have some questions, we will take a look at them. And I'm just going to go through and here we have that. We'll answer them. If they're a technical issue, you can't hear me, there's something wrong with maybe how the presentation is going on, we will if there's something going on, we'll try and address that right away. Other than that, if you have some questions and answers, we'll have a Q&A at the end. Again, I don't think the webinar is going to last more than half an hour, maybe 35 minutes. So we do put some time at the end to answer any questions that you might have there, and we will answer them in the order that they come in. The webinar is being recorded, and we will be posting it on our website within the next 48 hours if you want a copy of that. So for today, little quick agenda. I'm going to go over the difference between what I see as difference between project portfolio or project portfolio and enterprise risk analysis and management. We'll just go over some of the things that we can do to optimize how the project portfolio risk analysis and management can work, who would consider that, and I'll just go into a quick demo of the software online and just show you how that actually works in a real life setting. And we'll finish up then, and if you do have any questions at that time, we can answer them. So definitions, just at the very top, a project risk management is the process of identifying and assessing the impact of risk events on key project objectives. Risks are then prioritized based on their impacts, and appropriate management plans are put in place. So nothing really there. And if we go down at the bottom here, enterprise risk management is a risk-based approach to meeting organizational objectives, identifying and managing a wide range of risks that a large, complex organizations can face. Tends to be very high level. So where we're looking at is project portfolio risk management sits in the middle of these two. It's a process of identifying, assessing, and managing the impact of risk on key organization objectives, and understanding how the impact on each project on the impact of these risks on the project on these goals, larger organizational goals, whether they be capital expenditure, um, regulatory, reputation, etc. So the difference really between the two is we're taking it's a bottom level approach actually, where we look at the risks at the project level, and we can start to roll them up the chain to program and even to portfolio levels, to see how all of those risks are from the projects are going to be impacting us at our portfolio level. So I'm just going to just to differentiate between project risk management analysis. It's granular, and what we're trying to do when we're running a project risk management, we're trying to manage and account for project specific risks. So what we have here is a histogram, which is a very common output of the analysis of quantitative project risk analysis. It provides us with a range of possible outcomes when we take into account risk events and uncertainties. So epistemic risks, or we might call them, or aleatory, which are built-in inherent variance in the activities that we're doing during a project. Two different types of risks, but we want to account for all of them when we're doing our analysis. In this particular chart, we can see that the deterministic or planned finish date, it's over here on the left. So that's our deterministic. We've also put in can put in markers on the cumulative probability curve, which is typically called the S curve. It's a bit choppy here because of the finish dates. And we can show values at various levels, confidence levels on finish time. So, and when we do this, we're looking to generate for finish dates or schedule stuff. We'll look at schedule results. We're looking at developing contingency we're looking at developing, margin for those. If it was cost, we would be looking at margins, contingencies. But right here, so we can see what our P50 is, or P80. Typically, the difference between that and that might be our schedule margin. But this is really what we're looking at on a project risk analysis view. So enterprise risk management, or more qualitative, it tends to be more qualitative. It's a high level process. I've heard it described as macro or holistic. It's a high level view of the entire organization. It can be operational risks, regulatory risks, etc. They can be focused, rather than on projects, they tend to be focused maybe on locations, geographic locations, facilities, business units. And these risks are often due to political uncertainties, regulatory changes. And the common tools that we see used in that would be heat maps, or risk matrices, or risk registers. So portfolio risk management seeks to combine the two practices into a common space, where we can start to get perhaps take that granular level view of the project risk analysis and management, and combine it and allow us to take a look up the hierarchy, and see how those risks are going to be affecting us at various levels of our organization. That could obviously we look at the project level, but we could also look at a program level or a hierarchy level. Sorry, let me just go back there. On the one side here, as part of that project portfolio, we can create a portfolio of projects. On this side, we have our project hierarchy, and we can actually set up a Gantt view of those projects as they look. It's sort of on the schedule. We can see how these projects are being planned and when we think they'll start and finish. But it does give us an overall view of a structure for the organization on a project basis. Projects roll up to programs. Projects start down here. They can roll up to programs, and overall, we can start to see once we roll it up, we could see results for the entire. We could see the results for the entire project portfolio. Part of that is we want to be able to move, depending on how risks and how we see during our analysis how they're impacting various at the project level or program level. We want to be able to move risks around the system. So you need a risk approval process. Risk can be restricted to any level of the portfolio. So if we think that a risk is impacting multiple levels or multiple projects, and they're unmanageable at a project level, we could actually take those risks and move them up and have them managed at a program level or even at a portfolio level. Alternatively, there could be risks that are not project risks, but we do want to manage them, and we could manage them at the enterprise level or at a program level. And these a lot of times are going to be things that could be political or reputational, those sorts of risks. And in our particular system, we have what's called a visibility, which allows a risk to appear in a particular project or program or at any level of the hierarchy. And then there's assignment, so that the risk is assigned to specific areas. And so a risk can be assigned to multiple projects, be assigned to multiple programs, or it could be assigned just to specific areas of your portfolio. So, so actually, this should be project risk management. But if we're looking at this, we have a project right here, and it has a risk register. And just to give you an idea of how this might work, we have in this particular view, it's a project, and it has these level of risks. And we can see, we can see right here that it's been assigned to some tasks and resources, and we get some outcomes on here. If we and we move up, so we've got these. We've got the names backwards, but this is a program risk management. I can actually see up here, I don't know if you can read that here, but it says summary project. Summary project is a program, and we can actually see that it has, again, these risks. We have a common set of risks on those programs. We can see actually how it's been assigned to the project. You can see here, we can see this has been assigned to 2 projects, and this is what we're looking at here is in this area right here is a cumulative effect of the project, and that can be on, these are the overall scores across all categories, but it could be sliced and diced based on cost or schedule or other non-cost and schedule risk categories, depending on how we've set up our impacts in the system. But we can see now that they've been, we have a couple ones that are just been, in this one are specific to particular projects. But these ones we can see that they're common to a couple of other projects They're common to two projects, and this allows us to monitor the overall impact of these and whether or not that provides some of the decision making about how those risks should be managed. If their impact gets too high, we can start to excuse me, we can start to think about whether it's appropriate to be managing them at a project level, because it might be that they're just not manageable at a project level. And there are some certain risks that you do see commonly in projects that are they're not really project risks, they're organizational issues that need to be managed, and they need to be accounted for in the projects, but they're not, the projects themselves are probably not the best place to manage them. And if we look at a portfolio risk management, we can actually then start to roll those risks up even higher. And this is in our system itself, when we don't see a bar open or anything, this means we're looking at the enterprise, but we're looking at a very high level. We can actually change how the risks are scored based on based on the impact of them. So we've decided at the project and program level, we're looking at it very quantitatively because we can roll those up. At the enterprise level, you can just see we've just changed how those scores. So we've gone to a more common qualitative view of assessing the risk. Again, it's the same sort of, the actual underlying data is the same, but we do have some algorithms that will convert a qualitative to a quantitative to a qualitative type of analysis. And it gives us some score. This is based on a 5x5, so we can start to see at an enterprise level the risks that have visibility on the enterprise level. We can start to see which ones are our critical risks, and then obviously we start to apply our the appropriate management actions based on those types of risks that we have there. Within a project portfolio system, you'll have a common set of mitigation plans or response plans. I've just got mitigation, but mitigation is something that we would obviously do prior to sort of bring down the impact of risks, possible impact of the risks on a project. So pre-work that we'll do, they will have a cost and obviously we can assign them to. Risk could be, they can be used in a mitigation plan could be used to manage a single risk. A mitigation plan could be used to manage multiple risks at the same time. But again, we can take a quick look across all of our portfolio and see all the mitigation plans, see where they're being used, how much they're going to cost us, and we get an overall view of that, who's responsible, and again, whether they're being completed. If there's a percent complete, we can also track that as well. So it gives us a high-level view of actually what's happening at the project level in terms of planning and mitigating our risks. So who's a candidate for doing this type of, moving to this type of system? We call them organizations that are largely projectized. I think that's a word, but it's based that organizations that have moved to a project-based system, even on operations, that they have schedules, starts and finish times, could be on an annual basis, and they have projects, or they could have traditional projects where they're developing, constructing, those sorts of things. But if you're largely projectized and you can conceptualize and build in your organization as a project-based organization, then you can start to look at this type of analysis. If you rather than looking at a higher level, we can start to take a look at how those risks are going to impact us, you at an organizational level. So we're going to, and again, it's a bottom down to top up. You should have, obviously, it's not something that you're going to jump in right away. So you have to have well-established project risk management processes. Um, most most companies will see actually have an established enterprise high-level risk management process. Um, and they do have a project risk management processes, but the two don't talk. Um, if you have a well-established project risk management process, you have risks, you have standard risks, you have Excel spreadsheets with risk registers, or are you already doing quantitative risk analysis? You have multiple projects, so you're running multiple projects at one time, and you have what I would say common risks. So if you're so widely dispersed and that you don't have a common set of challenges across your projects, then it probably doesn't make as much sense to do this, because you could probably make sense. Then you could probably do them one off. But if you do know that you face common risks, you want to understand how they're going to be impacting your organization. Again, then it makes you a good candidate to take a look at this type of process. So with that in mind, I'm just going to quickly go over, and I'll just do a quick live demo. The demo might take about 10 minutes. I'm not going to go too deeply into it because there is a lot there. So this is a very simple project portfolio that I've set up. And you can see on here, we have a couple different, I just closed this one down. But we're looking at a project, the portfolio right here, and this has a program. It has four projects in there, and they've all actually got schedules behind them. If we look at them, I'll open this one up here. You can see each one of them actually has a schedule associated with them. So we are running quantitative risk analysis on this. So we can take a look if we want to. I can just run a quick simulation, and we can start to see results of the cost, finish time analysis, schedule. I can just set this up a little bit, and there we go. And we start to see some of that a bit more. Reason why we're seeing these really bumpy things are because there's risk events as well as uncertainties in the system. So it does cause these, we see these spikes because of the risk events occurring. The cost and schedule and duration over here. So when we're looking at the results, I'm just going to, and we can see right here that we have this project open up here. Actually, I'm not going to. I'm going to go, when we look at that, I'm actually going to just go back into it. So we've opened that up. It also includes risks. So we've had, I'm just going to just break this down a little bit, and assigned and not assigned. So in this system, we have these risks. These risks are visible. All of these risks are visible to the system. These ones have not been assigned. So that means that they've been enabled in the system, but right now we don't believe that they're going to impact this project. They're not part of this project, so we haven't assigned them. We can hide them. We can see actually our risk assessment right here of all the different risks that we have in the system. If we go into here, we can take a look and we can see how they've been assigned to the different activities. So we'll close that down. I'll just save that. And then we'll just go up. We'll go up to our projects, and if we go up to the program level. Now the project doesn't, a program is not a, obviously doesn't have a schedule or anything, so we'll look in here. If you looked in here, it would be blank. We don't have that. So program level is really just the risk management system, which includes a risk register, a mitigation response plans, and a risk matrix. But we can see right here is that we started to roll these risks up. And we can see we've got all these risks that have been assigned to the system. And we can see that our biggest risk right now, we haven't done any mitigation plan. We haven't done any sort of mitigation on it to drop the probability, is based on this new technology risk. If we took a quick look at that, we can actually see how it's been assessed across all of the projects. On the various business plans we have in here, product development, it's telling us what the outcome types that we have, relative delay, cost increases, with the percentages on those. And what happens is it gets rolled up. And what this does is starts to tell us, if I was looking at this, we might want to start looking at whether or not this new technology risk is being appropriately managed at these 4 different projects. So they're accounting for them, but it's an overall, it's a big risk that we're seeing across all of these ones. So where should it go? Should we manage it at the project levels, or should we take it out of the hands of those project managers, so to speak, and move that up and put it at a high level, higher priority, and move it to a risk that's going to be managed at the program level or even at the enterprise level? So if we had that and we've looked at that one, and we can start to go, one of the things that we could do is start to look at that and say, well, we can see right now that it's been assigned available to all of these. We have several different options that we could do based on the assessment. We could remove it from these as a risk. So they're not going to be, what it means is they're still going to have to account for this risk, for the uncertainty caused by this risk at the project level, but the management of it is going to occur at the program level. So we'd make it visible at the program level. This, what I would suggest is these risks are then put in and they can be managed either as issues, so they'll be, or uncertainties caused by that risk, or they can be managed as specific project-specific risks, but the overall impact of this new technology risk is going to be managed at the program level. Alternatively, I'm just going to add that back in. We could go and we could say we're only going to allow this risk to be, we're going to move this risk. It's very high priority. It's affecting multiple projects, and we can see that it has, we can start to see what the cost of that risk is. Let's just go, if we go in here, oh, we did not calculate that. Okay. So if we calculate the total expected loss is $108,000, so not much. It's these are small programs. But depending on how relatively big that is, we could move that up and move it up to an enterprise level if we think it has a large enough impact across, potential impact, expected impact across our project. We can move it up. So what this does, this analysis allows us to look across our projects, see which risks are isolated to projects, what the impact of them, but we can also then take a look at how they are going to impact us at a program or enterprise level and manage them accordingly. So I think if I take a look at this, and we only have we have one big enterprise. So this is again another another view. So if we open up at the enterprise level, we only have one big risk in this. Again, this is just a very small sample database. But we could we could move risks up to very high level and have them manage them at an enterprise level because we believe that's the best place. So what this does is allows us to, using this project portfolio type of framework, allows us to manage our risks at a very macro level, or micro level, but then also understand how they're affecting us at the macro level. And when we see a need for it, change the way we manage those risks so we can manage them at the most effective level within our project portfolio. So with that, I think we're starting to get to close to the end of our time. If you do have any questions, feel free to ask them right now or get a hold of me. We have some additional resources that you can look on our website if you're interested. We have lots of white paper and articles. We have some tutorials. We have what we call a non-commercial website that's just basically a bunch of links, many links to different project decision analysis resources that you can find on the web. My contact details are here. If you would like to contact me directly, I'd be happy to take your call, answer an email, set up a demonstration, a more detailed demonstration of the process that we believe will add value to your company. With that, I don't see any questions coming in. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope that I will be able to see you in one of our future webinars that will be scheduled next one should be scheduled in the first Tuesday of April. Thank you.